Hear us a little bit, right? So hang on. So Bobby, thank you for listening. Glad you're paying attention. Glad you can hear us. Hopefully you can hear us way better now.
That happens sometimes.
You know what? Talk about processes, right?
Yeah, the process has to be to turn the mic on.
So turn the mic on. I'm going to write that down somewhere. So,
that's funny.
Hopefully you guys can hear us. Hopefully you can hear us much better now. But Bobby, if you can't hear us, comment. Let me see what it says. I don't know. She's watching and learning. She says so. All right. So anyway, so now you take a minute, you look it over, and you write down the steps.
Yeah.
And then you see what's important and you recognize what's important. But I think the other side of that, the other thing you have to include in that is what's the goal. I think sometimes people get focused stuck on that process.
Right.
This is the thing I do every day. Well, there's already a process. Well, this is how I do it. And every time I do an interview or every time I, with a new employer, every time that I meet with a new client, I always ask a very similar question, and it's, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Mm-hmm.
When I meet with an existing business, what do you want your company to look like in 20 years? What's the end goal? Is the goal to sell the company? Then we need to grow it for, financial stability. Is it to retire and pass on to your kids? We need to focus on recurring revenue, or we need to focus on growing the business. So what do you want to be when you grow up, even if it's just...
Well, and there's no wrong answer to that question. Yeah. There's no wrong answer. The wrong answer is more of like, I'm not going to figure it out. Like, I'm not going to decide, because then you're not setting yourself up for success. Because you can't, because you don't know what to do to set yourself up for success.
Well, and I can tell you this from personal experience, okay? You guys can literally do or be anything. It's possible, but you have to be willing to adapt, and you have to be willing to learn. All of the resources you need to be successful are there, but you have to be willing to adapt, and so much of that is process management. And so once you have a goal, you can start building the steps toward that goal. Right. When I was 20 years old, so last year, when I was 20 years old, I wanted to grow up to be a pirate. It turned out to be a small part of what I've done in my life, but I got to be a pirate professionally, legally, be a pirate, and I just had to put steps in place, put energy toward it, grow, and I wasn't always great at graphic design, but I had to put energy into that. Social media. I mean, you're great at social media, but you work on growing that every single time. It's never like, oh, we're done, I'm good enough.
Yeah. And social media is one of those things, and there are a lot of things, but social media is one of those things where you can't be the kind of person who is like, okay, learned this thing and I'm going to do the same thing the same way every time, every day for the rest of my life. Because social media evolves so fast. It evolves faster than anything else, I feel like, sometimes. But that, I think, is the third thing about processes, is that unfortunately they're never done. Never. You're always going to be evolving. I mean, just this last week, we figured out that we were spending way too much time on our Monday meetings, and we changed the way that we did our Monday meetings. Yep, even we spend too much time in Monday meetings. But it's true. We shaved 2 hours off of our Monday meeting this week, and we're going to be able to keep doing that because we changed the way that we process. And really, for us, it was changing the location of the meeting. Yeah, it really was. Yeah. And sometimes that's, one thing I recommend to companies all the time is go virtual, right? Even if you're all in the same office, go video conference, because then you don't have to all leave your office and leave your workflow. Right. But sometimes changing the location is small, but you don't know that until you see what it is, and it can make a big difference. The most important part of process development is being willing to be wrong. You have to be able to recognize that where you're at is not where you want to be. You have to see what the goal is, and see what the way you're going there is, and know inherently that it can't be right. In fact, process development is such an ongoing thing that it's always wrong. And it has to be always wrong to be successful. Yeah. It has to be able to get better. Yeah, well, and I think that when we first started our Monday meetings, 3 hours may have been necessary because I was new at the job and we were still getting used to all of the clients, but now it's not necessary anymore. So recognizing that even though it wasn't wrong for a minute, it's wrong now is important.
And
being okay with that. Like, it's not like we set up a bad process to begin with.
It was great. It worked out great. And then it got to be too cumbersome. There are too many things added.
We had to change it.
Yeah. And that, exactly. So it's an ongoing thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, a lot of folks get caught up in we have too many meetings or we spend too much time developing processes. Especially as a business manager, you have to juggle so many different things that you end up constantly focused on how am I improving my processes, how am I negotiating with my distributors, or how am I working on my accounting, and none of those are revenue drivers. Not a single one of those brings in money, right? So you can't get trapped by it.
Yeah.
So that's, I guess, why the goal is so important. Like the goal of any small business is to be profitable. It's to be profitable, guys. But that's not the only goal. The goal is to change the world, and profitable is something that happens on the way to changing the world. And and so the right structure supports that. Creating a business that exists not in spite of, but independent of the people who work the process.
Yes.
Creating you build a position like you said, the corporate world, they're really good at processes because they don't have a choice, because nobody's a human anymore. Like once you hit 200 or 300 people, then you're like, I don't even know if that person's an employee.
Well, and I think the one thing that corporations just have had to understand, and that is that we have to be able to put another person in every single spot. Even the person, even the creator, even the CEO, even the top management team. We have to be able to put another person in there. And as a small business, we actually do have to create processes that we can put other people in our spots. And it's because life happens, and we have to be able to live our lives. Like, I should be able to create a process to where if I want to go on vacation for a month, somebody else can come in and do my job for a month.
Well, and occasionally you'll have like a hurricane.
Yeah, there was one of those.
And you might be I was out of commission for over a week, and if we hadn't created a structure that supports me being gone for a week, we would have just been closed. And as you guys know, small business being closed for a week for revenue can be brutal. Mm-hmm. And so, we just created.
Well, and let's be real. Like, there were things that didn't get done in the week that you were gone.
Sure.
And there were things that I'm just not going to do as well as you are.
And vice versa.
But we're not entirely replaceable. Nobody ever is.
Right.
But having those processes may not mean that it's done the best way that it possibly could get done.
Yeah.
But it does mean that it still gets done, and that's what's important.
So, I guess the takeaway is, look at what you do, not just what look at your goals, but also look at the way you get there. Mm-hmm. The way you get there, the way your team gets there. And here's a pro tip for you: the people who do the job probably know far better than you do. When we would hire technicians, I used to ask them all the time, "Hey, what is the way that you're doing this?" Because you do it every single day, and you refine the process through action. Mm-hmm. This doesn't work because every time I do it, I get, I drop stuff or whatever. Yeah. They refine the process. So go to your frontline employees. If you're the frontline employee, look inward and say, how can we make this better? And sometimes it's just a Post-it will transform your whole business, or just moving a location of a meeting.
Writing down the steps that something needs to happen so you don't have to use your brain. Anytime that I can take the thinking out of something, it makes my life better. I'm over this weekend. I'm going to be creating processes for my kids because we're having a hard time getting out the door in the mornings for school. I don't know if anybody else is there, but I'm there. So that is my goal. That's my number one goal this week is to create processes for my kids so I don't have to ask every single one of them 4 times to pick up their lunchbox.
Bam, right?
Yeah.
It's irritating. All right, so guys, so here's your top 5. If you don't have one of these forms, come get them because we've got them right here. This is a top 5 form. This is the way you're going to change your business. Every day when you wake up in the morning, write down 5 things that are not part of your day job. I don't mean to respond to emails. I mean things that are going to change your business. So your number 1 today on your top 5 form is this. Write down the one thing about your business that you hate doing. The one process in your business that just really bugs the crap out of you. Write it down in your top 5 that you're going to look at that and see what it takes to get it done. because you might identify 1 or 2 things that are going to make the thing you hate the least a lot better. Second piece of homework. Write it down in the comments. That one thing that you do that you hate doing, the most, because I bet you a dozen people feel exactly the same way, and I'd be willing to bet that both of us at some point have been through something similar enough that we may be able to give you some absolutely free insight.
Yeah, so, and there's got to be a process to make it easier. There just has to be.
There has to be.
Yeah.
So get us involved with your business and start your top 5 by changing the thing that you hate to do the most, because if you can get rid of that one, you know, Mark Twain said, if you're going to eat a frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning, so that everything the rest of the day is better. If you're going to eat 2 frogs, eat the biggest one first. So that's your frog for today, is write down the thing that you hate doing the most, and just put it on the chart, and put it in the comments, and we'll help you get it to be better.
Find a process.
Yeah, find a process. Let's do this. So,
all right.
Go make it an awesome weekend. You've got 2.5 days to completely transform everything you do in your life. No, I'm kidding. Just do one little thing, and let us know what it was, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Next Friday.
All right.
See you then.
Make it an awesome weekend.
Bye.